What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Thanks for watching. Happy Halloween. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today we are back with a little gun science experiment, and you probably guessed it. We're gonna be shooting pumpkins. Yes, in today's video, we are gonna be testing how many pumpkins does it take to stop a bullet. So on the ground here, I have 36 jumbo pumpkins lined up in a row. This was literally the most I could fit in my truck. I went to the store, said bring out the whole pallet, and we just stuffed them in my truck bed until we couldn't fit anymore. And 36 was the number that we got to. And you might be asking yourself, why do you need so many pumpkins? Well, if you've watched our other videos where we shoot pumpkins, which we've got dozens of them at this point, then you probably know they're not very good at stopping bullets. They're mostly air, not very dense. There's just not a lot of substance to a pumpkin. So typically bullets just blow right through them. To be fair, I've never lined up more than 3 or 4 to actually see how many it takes to stop a bullet. So I'm honestly hoping 36 will even be enough. I imagine we'll be able to stop something, hopefully. The good news is we can just rotate them after every shot because bullets don't really destroy them. So it should be interesting. Put your guesses in the comments below. And to be honest, I just needed an excuse to mag dump 35 pumpkins at the end of the video. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. All right, I'm probably gonna have to get in the prone since these pumpkins are on the ground. We're gonna start with the 22 long rifle. This is the segmented hollow point, and I want to use hollow points for as many of these as I can just to give us the best chance possible to actually stop these bullets. 22 long rifle segmented hollow point out of the Ruger Mark IV Lite. If this goes through more than 5 or 6, we're probably cooked because the other ones are going to blow through everything. All right, 22 long rifle in 3, 2, 1. That sounded crazy. All right, our 22 hollow point hit the first pumpkin right there. I don't know if you could hear it on camera, but it sounded extremely hollow, which was kind of hilarious. I guess it makes sense. If we look at the back of our first pumpkin, we've got a few exit holes. I assume that bullet broke apart. And then 1 or 2 entrance holes on the second pumpkin. And nothing came out the other side. So it actually stopped the 22 in the second pumpkin. That's honestly a good start. I thought it would go through like 10, so maybe we'll actually stop some bullets. And then I went ahead and just put 22 on that second pumpkin so we don't forget where each of these calibers stopped as we get through more of the pumpkins. All right, next up we're gonna try the 9mm. This is the Hornady Critical Defense. It's kind of known to be a low penetrating hollow point, so hopefully it expands in the pumpkins and reduces penetration. For this one, we're gonna use my Gen 5 Glock 19, soon to be discontinued. One of my favorite pistols of all time. By the way, shout out Optics Planet for the RMR HD. Coupon code ONESHOT if you shop at Optics Planet. Let's see if we can stop a 9mm. Hornady Critical Defense, let's do it. That sound is absolutely hilarious. All right, we got our entrance hole on number 1. Big exit hole there. It went into number 2, exited 2, into 3, and then it came out of our third pumpkin, and it looks like it kind of skipped off the top of number 4. That bullet was kind of trending upward as it went through those pumpkins. So I'll try it one more time. Hornady Critical Defense, take 2. I did notice on the high-speed footage, it looked like that bullet was fully expanded when it exited that third pumpkin, so. I also rearranged the order and put the tall one a little bit further back. Let's see if we can keep the bullet flatter. It's hard to know. I got the gun angled. I love that sound. Ugh. All right, that is the entrance hole on our first pumpkin. I think this one was the one that was number 3 when we shot it the last time. You can see that exit hole there. I moved it back to number 5 so the shorter ones were in front of it, just so you guys don't get confused. Either way, entrance hole, exit hole, pumpkin number 1. Oh, look at that. That's the little red polymer tip that plugs the hollow point cavity on the Hornady Critical Defense. That's pretty cool. So that came off as the bullet was entering the second pumpkin. I assume it was expanding. We have an entrance hole there on pumpkin number 2. Exit hole there. That was from the first shot that we took. Entrance hole there on pumpkin number 3. It is staying pretty much dead centered, which is good. Exit hole there on pumpkin number 3, kind of starting to go to the right. Entrance hole on pumpkin number 4. and no exit hole. So that bullet is in pumpkin number 4. That is pretty cool. I can't cut it open yet because we need to use it for other calibers, but I'll write on it and we'll dig into it at the end of the video. A 9mm in 4 pumpkins is pretty cool. I thought it would go through a lot more than that, but it is actually stopping these bullets. Okay, I really don't want to shoot this one, especially in the prone position, but I feel like we probably should before we move on to the rifles and the shotgun. So next up, we have the 44 Magnum. This is a 240 grain hollow point, and of course, we're gonna shoot it out of the Rossi Ranch hand. This thing has entirely too much recoil to be shooting like this, but we're gonna give it a shot. Oh my gosh, it's right in front of my face. This is like the only logical way I can think to shoot this thing, so we'll try it. Now that is a massive bullet hole. Hopefully it stayed in there. Ugh. It is starting to rain, which is unfortunate. I'm probably gonna end up removing these first 3 or 4 pumpkins for the next one because we've got so many that we haven't even touched. There's no reason to keep shooting these, but you can see the entrance hole on that 44 Magnum. Just worlds apart from any of the others that we've shot so far. Exit hole that's the size of a baseball, just extremely gnarly. I think that first pumpkin is pretty much done for. Then we have an entrance hole on our second pumpkin right there, about as big as it is on the first. Exit hole on the second, quite a bit smaller. The bullet is definitely slowing down. Entrance hole on the third, still dead center, which is a really good sign. Very small exit hole on the third. Entrance hole on the fourth, also dead center. And I think it stopped in that fourth pumpkin. That was already there, I believe. If it wasn't, then that is an entrance hole from the 44 Magnum, but I'm almost positive that that one was already there. And that's the problem with continuing to use the same pumpkins. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the first 5 pumpkins and we'll cut into both of these and see if our 44 Magnum's in there. All right, well, I just cut into pumpkin number 4 and the very first thing I seen is that. Our 9mm Hornady Critical Defense, perfectly expanded. And it did in fact come to a stop in that fourth pumpkin. So there's the 9mm. I do not see the 44 Magnum in here. I might go ahead and cut into that 5th pumpkin and see if we stopped it in there. So I couldn't find that 44 Magnum. I stuck my knife in the hole on that 5th pumpkin. And I thought I noticed something. There it is. Oh my goodness, dude. So that is our 44 Magnum. So the hole that I saw on the 5th pumpkin was from the 44 Magnum. It just didn't make it all the way inside of it. So it barely entered the 5th pumpkin. Not much more than we got from the 9mm, but that is our 44 Magnum. Thank God I stopped that one because I did not want to shoot it again. If you told me at the beginning of this video we would stop the 9mm in 4 pumpkins and a 44 Magnum in 5, barely into the 5th, I would tell you were crazy, but I guess that's why we do the tests. Okay, I went ahead and got rid of the first 5 pumpkins so we can have a fresh start. We are now moving on to rifles, and I think this is gonna get a lot trickier to keep these bullets inside the pumpkins, but we're gonna give it a shot. First up, we're gonna try the 5.56. This is the Mark 262 Mod 1 77 grain hollow point. One of my all-time favorite 5.56s, and we're shooting it out of my Daniel Defense Mark 18. 5 pumpkins is the number to beat. I have a feeling if this doesn't curve and exit out the side, it's probably gonna beat it, so let's give it a shot. All right, entrance hole, pumpkin number 1. Tiny little entrance hole, and look at the exit hole. That's the difference between handgun rounds and rifle rounds right there. They do a lot more damage coming out the back. Entrance hole on pumpkin number 2. That bullet is probably expanding and going crazy at this point. Then we have an exit hole on pumpkin number 2, significantly smaller than the exit hole on 2 and the entrance hole, or exit hole on 1 and entrance hole on 2. And if we go to pumpkin number 3, we have an entrance hole right there, very small entrance hole, and nothing on the other side. So unless that bullet like hit the pumpkin and bounced off, which it doesn't look like it did, there's enough of a hole there, I imagine it went in, then we actually stopped the 5.56 in 3 pumpkins. Less than the 9mm. And like I always tell you guys, that is common with rifle rounds. People often assume rifles penetrate more because they're considered higher power firearms, but if they do what they're supposed to, they actually penetrate less because the bullets dump more energy into the target they hit, rather than over penetrate like handgun rounds and, you know, really big rifle rounds do. I just assumed that the pumpkins wouldn't destabilize the bullet enough to actually cause it to expand or tumble. It looks like I was wrong. Unless that bullet deflected off, it stopped in 3 pumpkins. Significantly less than the other handgun rounds. And I didn't want to leave any doubt, so I went ahead and removed pumpkin number 3, cut it open, and sure enough, that is our 5.56. It actually did not expand from the front. It just kind of flattened out and tumbled a little bit. Definitely deformed, but that bullet did not expand, and it still stopped in only 3 pumpkins. Pretty cool. All right, next up, we are gonna shoot the AK-74, one of my all-time favorite rifles, of course. It shoots the 5.45 by 39, and we're not gonna shoot a hollow point for this one. If you're familiar with the caliber, you probably know why. This is often referred to as the poison bullet because of the way it tumbles and targets and the damage that it does. I feel like a hollow point would be doing this one a disservice. So I'll be shocked if we can trap it, but I've been wrong about the others, and it would be cool to catch a poison bullet inside of a pumpkin, so let's see what it does. The first 2 pumpkins have holes in them, the rest of them are completely fresh. So, here we go. Went a little lower than I thought it would. Okay, tiny little entrance hole in pumpkin number 1, very similar to the 5.56. If we flip it over, massive exit hole, very similar to the 5.56. Big old entrance hole on pumpkin number 2. It actually put a crack all the way over to that other hole that was there. So that bullet was definitely tumbling. Again, this is not a hollow point. And if you look at the entrance hole, so that's about how it was positioned, by the time that bullet left the second pumpkin, it had turned 45 degrees to the right, grazed the 3rd pumpkin in the front, and then came out the bottom right there. And I can even see where that bullet like burrowed into the ground. It would be really cool if I could find it. Highly doubt that's gonna happen, but that's about exactly what I expected with the 5.45 by 39. That bullet just goes absolutely crazy. At least we tried. And the older brother of the AK-74, the 7.62 by 39 AK-47. Now for this one, I am gonna try a soft point. Very interesting rounds. I haven't shot these in a while, but from what I remember, they do quite a bit of damage, so. See if we can stop the 7.62. Holy sh**. Well, out of the rifles, that's definitely the biggest entrance hole that we've had so far. My God. Okay, there's our 7.62 by 39 entrance hole. The last one went really low, so I kind of aimed that one a bit high, and that one hit right at point of impact. Of course, just my luck, so it is a little higher than I wanted. You can see the massive exit hole. That is a crazy round. Just instantaneous damage from that 7.62 by 39. And then going into the second pumpkin, we have kind of like an elongated entrance hole. I assume that bullet was probably tumbling. And I don't think we have an exit hole. That could be an exit hole right there. But turn around. If it was, I feel like we would have a nick on that pumpkin, and we don't. So I cannot believe how lucky I'm getting in this video. That is the majority of our 7.62 by 39 soft point. There's a piece of lead right down here. And I assume there's probably several of those in there. The soft points are designed to come apart on impact. I think it actually stopped in the second pumpkin. That's crazy. Well, I'm gonna be honest, I did not anticipate any of this. I thought most of these guns would go through like 15 pumpkins, we wouldn't recover any of the bullets, and we could just move on and mag dump into the rest of the pumpkins. That has not been the case. 5 is the most we got to with the 44 Magnum. It just barely made it that far. And then all the rifles have went through like 2 to 4, and we've recovered every single bullet that we shot, except the 5.45, of course. So I didn't even bring the 50 cal because I didn't think we would need it. And now I'm considering going back to the house to grab it because we have like 30 pumpkins that we haven't even shot yet. And it would be epic if we could capture a 50 BMG. All right, here we go. Barrett M99 50 cal sniper rifle. And for this one, we're not gonna use an expanding bullet or anything special. This is just a straight up M17 military surplus round. It might glow a little bit as it passes through the pumpkins, but that's about it. And by the way, this is a massive jump from the other rifles that we just shot, so I'm really not sure what to expect. We still have like 30 pumpkins back there. I even put a couple used ones at the end, just in case we need them. I am 99.9% sure that we're not gonna recover this bullet, but we have to give it a shot because we recovered all the others. So 50 cal rifle versus pumpkins. Let's see what happens. All right, guys, here we go. Again, don't hold your breath. It's probably not gonna go straight, and even if it does, I think it would blow through all 30 of them pumpkins. But we could get super lucky. Let's find out. 50 BMG versus 30 Halloween pumpkins. Never thought I'd be doing a test like this. Well, it looked like a good hit. The first pumpkin is not there anymore, so let's go check it out. Okay, so it was actually the second pumpkin that I saw get completely annihilated. I thought it was the first, but this is actually our first pumpkin. And I think that's the entrance hole right there. So it didn't do a ton of damage on the first one. Obviously, coming out the back, we got a much bigger exit hole. This was pumpkin number 2. I would say that definitely took the majority of that bullet's energy. I mean, that is a bowling ball sized entrance hole or exit hole. I guess I'm not really sure. Pumpkin number 3, same thing, massive entrance hole. And then it looks like our bullet basically took a right-hand turn and exited right there. All the other pumpkins are completely untouched. Well, I can't say I'm shocked. I did think it might go through a few more pumpkins before that happened, but ultimately that is the result that I was expecting. Went through a few and then eventually curved and exited out the side. So we still got like 25 pumpkins. Maybe we'll try one more 50 BMG, and if we don't get lucky on this one, we'll give up. Well, we saw what the military surplus round did. I think I'm gonna go ahead and try the 750 grain Hornady AMAX. This is a slightly heavier bullet, so maybe it won't destabilize as quickly and we'll get through more than 3 pumpkins. I'll be honest, most 50 cals do about the same thing. They just completely destroy everything they hit, so. See if we get extremely lucky on this one. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I think we definitely got through more pumpkins that time, but highly doubt we actually captured the bullet. Let's go check it out. And by the way, I have double checked that the rifle is level, so we're not shooting like up or down into the pumpkins, but obviously once the bullet hits something, it does whatever it wants. So this is pumpkin number 1, very similar to the military surplus round, just a small little entrance hole. I mean, small for a 50 cal, it's still a big bullet. But this one exited out the first pumpkin about the same size as it went in, and then went into the second pumpkin, still not doing a ton of damage. However, by the time it exited the second pumpkin, we've got probably the biggest exit hole we've had on any of them so far. Pumpkin number 3 just got completely annihilated. Looks like it's split in half. I assume that that's the other half right there. And then it looks like it started to curve down, because you can see, I don't know if that's the entrance or exit. I assume it's the entrance hole on pumpkin number 4. It is towards the bottom of the pumpkin, and then the exit hole on the back is just so gnarly. What an impressive round, honestly. And then pumpkin number 5, it's at the very bottom, and it completely tore the bottom of this pumpkin out. So that looks like the path of the bullet right there. And then on pumpkin number 6, we're getting a lot further with this one than we did with the other one. Oh my gosh. We've got a 50 cal bullet, or at least parts of it. So that is definitely the jacket, at least a piece of it, from our 50 cal AMAX. We've also got a pretty good lead fragment right there. I just dropped it, hopefully you guys could see it. And we have another lead fragment right there on the 2x4. So that bullet was definitely coming apart. Probably not gonna penetrate much further. That's incredible. I did not think we would find any pieces of that 50 cal round, but we did. This is pumpkin number 7. Oh, we even have an entrance hole in that one. Looks like it's still going and grazing the bottom of these pumpkins. Okay, that, I don't know what that is. That hole was not there before though. It could be another piece of the bullet. Okay, I went ahead and cut into the last 3 or 4 pumpkins. I found a bunch of little lead fragments. I also recovered these 3 big pieces of the copper jacket. That's like at least half of the bullet jacket there. I'm convinced there's a big piece of that 50 cal laying on the ground somewhere in this general area, but in the fall it is so hard to find stuff on the ground because the grass is brown and there's acorns everywhere. Bullets just blend in really well, but I am positive that we stopped that bullet. On the front of pumpkin number 8, there was a tiny little dent, and this was the last pumpkin with any damage. So that tells me whatever hit it was going so slow, it didn't even break the exterior, and it probably just plopped onto the ground somewhere right in front of my face. Unfortunately, I cannot find it. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it took 8 pumpkins to stop that 50 cal round. It's either 7 or 8. I'm positive it didn't go any further than that, and there are no holes in the ground, so it didn't like bury itself in the dirt. There's a chunk of lead laying on the ground somewhere around here. I just can't find it. So let's go ahead and annihilate the rest of these pumpkins. All right, guys, I went ahead and stacked up all the remaining pumpkins that we have left here. Let's go ahead and get rid of them.